So hello everyone, welcome to our session with Emma. The topic will be how to push the boundaries of sleep through tech. And I want to present you our speakers today. The first one, Andreas Westendörpf from Emma. He's the CTO of Emma and has worked before as the CTO of Engel Völkers, and he also worked at Zalando and 10 years in management and technology consulting firms. The second speaker I want to introduce to you is Philipp Wagner. He is the head of research and development at Emma. And our third speaker will be Dr. Verena Senn. She is the neuroscience expert at Emma and has worked before at the Max Planck Institute for Brain Research in Frankfurt. And as I said, the topic will be how to push the boundaries of sleep through tech, which in my opinion is a really important topic because everyone should know how important sleep is and how important it is to be relaxed and for your job and through learning for everything exactly. And therefore, I'm really excited to get to know which part Emma plays to improve our sleep with tech. And therefore, I would like to thank Andreas, who will make the introduction.
Thank you, Pascal, for your kind words and the introduction. Hi, I'm Andreas. I'm, as Pascal mentioned, the CTO of Emma. Quite recently joined Emma in October, so quite fresh in Emma and also new to the field of sleep tech. And I'm very proud and excited to have two of my colleagues with me today, Verena and Philipp, who will present what exciting topics we are going to tackle in sleep tech and how sleep tech can actually change the planet and everybody's life for the good. So at Emma, what are we about? Our vision is to awaken people to their full potential of sleep. And that means that basically we are not only a producer of products that help people have a good sleep and support people like passively, but we are also very actively researching in that topic. And we see that there's a huge opportunity to increase and improve the quality of sleep of everybody of everybody basically on the planet. And this is why we want to become the number one sleep brand and sleep company in the world. So I won't now read out the mission statement to you, but essentially this is what we are about. And I'd like to give it now to Verena to tell us a little bit more about why sleep is so important for everybody. Verena?
Yeah, thanks, Andreas. Well, so the topic of the whole session is, can tech save the world? I can assure you that if tech saves sleep, it saves our health. And moreover, it could even rescue us from bad or risky decisions that our leaders do, and how I will explain you in a bit. I'm working at Emma as a neuroscientist to improve people's sleep one night at a time. And the basis for good sleep is a good mattress. However, good sleep is more than that, and we also offer more than ordinary mattresses. But first, I will explain a little bit about sleep before we dive into the tech. So, why do we sleep? I mean, first of all, sleep seems to be tremendously important to all of us. This is already indicated in the fact that we sleep 8 hours every night, at least in theory, I guess. That means when we turn 90, we have actually slept around 30 years of our lives. And also all across animal kingdom, sleep is very well preserved. So it seems to be important like across different species. Even insects do show sleep-like inactive phases. Why do we sleep? Well, there are actually two processes in our body that allow us to sleep. One is our circadian cycle, or also called inner clock. And this was actually the investigation of the circadian cycle was awarded with the Nobel Prize of Medicine in 2017. And the researchers found that there is a little clock ticking in all of our body cells. And it's basically the same mechanisms that manage timing in fruit flies that manage timing in humans. So what is actually quite interesting, I think, is that our internal clock ticks a little bit longer than the 24 hours that is like given us by the Earth. And there's a constant process within our body where the circadian rhythm is aligned to the night and day cycle that we live under. And it's a famous sleeping hormone, melatonin, that sets our rhythm every night again to 24 hours by sensing actually that it's dark and directly signaling that to our brain. And there's our master clock, the SCN. So besides our circadian rhythm that manages our inner timing and thereby sleeping, we have little molecules in our body like adenosine that are building up with every waking hour. So this is actually a way for the body to measure the time being awake in that sense. So after being awake for 12 hours, the concentration of adenosine is high, and this signals sleep need to the body. And caffeine is actually a direct antagonist of the adenosine. So it blocks the receptor the adenosine binds to, and thereby managing our subjective experience of sleep need. And one interesting side note is caffeine stays in the body up to 8 hours. So that means you should maybe think twice of having a late afternoon coffee if you want to sleep well. In a normal situation, these two processes, the circadian rhythm and biochemical molecules like adenosine, are well aligned, and they allow us to sleep at night and wake up refreshed in the morning. However, my initial question remains, why do we sleep? During sleep, actually a lot of parallel processes allow us to consolidate memories, for example, and transfer them from short-term to long-term memory. And also our immune system recovers while we sleep. And sleep is psychotherapy. So I will explain you a little bit more. At night, our brain processes what we have learned during the day. And we actually get better overnight. So if you sleep in between learning for an exam and having the exam, you will always perform better. And you can even tell your brain what to keep and what to dismiss. So in a study, students were taught some content, and some of the content was labeled as important for exam, and the other content was not. And only the content important for exam had the beneficial effect of sleep, of being recalled even better after sleep. So this is important to you and your career, but what about the world? Actually, it was shown that not obtaining enough sleep diminishes a lot of cognitive functions like attention and reasoning, decision-making, problem-solving, and creativity strongly depend on sleep. And most importantly, it has been demonstrated that little sleep inspires people to take risky decisions. So because our impulse control doesn't work as well anymore. And so I'm always thinking then, what does this make to our world leaders when they discuss all night and then usually they take decisions in the really early morning? And another thing that I always have to smile a little bit at is the one who shouts out a lot that he's very proud of needing only 4 hours sleep a night is actually Donald Trump. And I think he's really one well known for little impulse control. Sleep is also tremendously important for our immune system. So studies show clearly that when you sleep a lot while having a cold, you recover faster, but it's also the other way around. So when you sleep enough in the first place, you don't even catch a cold as easily. So this was demonstrated in a study in the US. I mean, in a lot of studies, but this one, they actually infected people with a nasal drop of rhinovirus after they have monitored their sleep for 2 weeks and looked then in quarantine how many people got sick. And the people who slept 5 hours and less got 3 times more often sick than the ones who slept more than 7 hours. And what I thought was most striking was the people who actually slept 6 hours, and I think this is something that is rated as a fair amount of sleep for a lot of people, they still got double as often sick as the people who slept 7 hours and more. And I mean, this is not only important for you, this is also a huge economic factor, for example. So in Germany, the sick employees cost around 225 billion every year. So of course, this gets even more pressing in the situation in which we are right now at the moment. We are in the middle of the pandemic. So my plea to you tonight is go home, sleep a lot, and you might even save the world of a pandemic. Then last but not least, sleep is psychotherapy. It's actually that our dreams mirror less of what happened during the day, but our emotions. And we need this to resolve our emotional past. This has been demonstrated in a lot of different situations, but I like one from the US, from Dr. Rosalind Cartwright, who could actually show that patients who suffer from early symptoms of a clinical depression after a bitter event like a divorce or something, they are more likely to get over that event and not develop a clinical depression when they dream excessively of the event and the related emotions, and also compared to people who dream but unrelated stuff. So that means she demonstrated that it's not only important that we dream, but it's also important what we dream. So now you actually know the scientific explanation for why we often feel emotionally unstable after being awake or having slept less, or why parents always say that their kids haven't slept when they get actually crazy in the supermarket. And you have also learned that sleep saves our sanity. However, when sleep is so important, what can we do? What do we need for good sleep? And I mean, the basis for good sleep is a good mattress for good ergonomy, but I think it's also important to know a little bit more about sleep. So we differentiate between 4 different sleep phases that iterate throughout the night in 4 to 5 90-minute intervals. And we've heard before about dreams, so they happen in REM sleep. But before we enter REM sleep, we enter different stages of the so-called non-REM sleep. And during deep sleep, and this is a stage I think most people have already heard about, so we are very relaxed. Our breathing and heart rate rhythms decelerate. Our brain is active but very synchronous, and our body core temperature and our blood pressure decreasing. And interestingly, this decrease in body core temperature is not a cause of sleep, it's the other way around. So we need this drop to actually go into deep sleep at all. And with that, I think I equipped you with enough knowledge that Philipp can now take over and explain how tech can actually tap the different angles of sleep.
So sure, happy to do this. So I'm Philipp. I joined last year Emma as the head of the R&D team. And our idea is really to move the boundaries of what can tech do for a good night of sleep. And for us, if you go further, Verena, to the next page. What we have seen in our sleepers or our users is that really the quality of sleep becomes even more important, and it becomes really a key element of a healthy lifestyle. And if you look to this slide, it's really so a lot of factors are really influencing your good night of sleep. So it's a whole context which will influence your good night of sleep. So there's, for example, there's lights. So depending on the light situation in your bedroom, this will define what's the good night of sleep you will get, or it's the mood you have. It could also be the habits, so as Verena mentioned, so the habits which you had before going to night. But also what's your age. So depending on the life stage you're in, your sleeping patterns would, so as a kid, your sleeping habits were completely different than being a student like now. Or if you're being a parent like I, so my sleeping habits are completely different than in the past. And also my needs to have a good night of sleep are completely different. But we also think that it's not just the night itself, it's also what is happening before and after the night of sleep. So that's also some key elements which we want to consider. And if we go on, there's really a revolution happening. So there's really a revolution happening around sleep. So from in the past, which was super analog. So there's the analog sleeping experience where you just had a mattress, a pillow, and a blanket. But going forward, what we see is, and it's the same happening, or it did happen also in the automotive industry, is we're moving into something which I would call it's a kind of intelligent, semi-autonomous machine, which will really work together with you as a sleeper. So, and this machine will help you to get the best sleep you can get. And what you see here, so this machine will really use a lot of trigger points, a lot of functions, which will help you to get a super night. So one would be, what's the perfect light you will have during this night? But also what's the temperature which you need to get out of deep sleep, but also what's the temperature which you need to wake up in the morning to feel refreshed and so on. But also what is with the habits you have? So are you having the right habits to fall asleep, but also to wake up and have the perfect night you can get? So what we see here in this target picture for the, let's say, the future of sleep is that in the end, there's an interaction happening between tech, devices, products, and yourself as a human. And this is a combination of products which are hardware, but also software components. And I think that's the key which comes to our mind, really to find the best functions and put these into products that you as a sleeper can work hand in hand as a team during the night. And autonomous, I think you can see this also what's happening in other industries. If you look to mobility, so the autonomous cars, they're working hand in hand with the person. And what I would like to give you now is two deep dives into one is light, and the second one is what you could do with sound in the night. I think the key for us is, if you look to this target picture, is in the end, the design criteria of your night and also of this machine will be, on the one hand side, it will be connected to you or connected to the environment. It will be highly adaptable to what is needed in this one night at a time. But also it will recognize what's your intention. So what's the intention of this night? So every night can have a different intention. And also the machine will learn from the feedback it will get from the sleepers and so on. Maybe let's take an example to make it more concrete. If we go to the next page, it's about light, and everybody knows that there's artificial light and there's natural light. But the key here is really, so in modern lives, and especially in these Corona times, so we are exposed to a lot of not natural light but artificial light, and that's kind of tricky for your biological processes, because the light which you get has a lot on your body besides just the visual perception of your environment, because it really triggers a lot of biological processes. It will also release hormones in your body, will help you to have a good mood, but also a bad mood, depending on this one. I think, and we all feel this in the current Corona situation. Sometimes we have a super bad mood. And I would put the hypothesis, it's also because of we have so much artificial light exported to us. What you see here, and I think that's the interesting part, is if you see the natural light on the left-hand side with its intensity and also the spectrum which you will get, it's completely different to the light you will get from a normal LED light, either cold light or warm light. So it's completely different, and that's problematic, especially in winter time when you're a lot of time inside. And there are studies which are saying, so in winter time, but also in Corona times, you get as little as 7% of the normal daylight exposure you would normally get in being at a camping vacation in summertime. And this leads to the point that light could really help us in this case to use light intentionally to get a better night of sleep, because, and that's what you see on the next page, is light especially the blue light is helping us. If you're exposing people to blue light, this could really help to bring your inner clock into the right rhythm to help you on the one hand side, and that's the morning piece, especially on the morning side. Many times, especially in winter time, you feel not super productive. You feel tired in the morning, and light, especially blue light with a certain intensity, can help you to remove the remaining melatonin in your body to feel happy, to feel productive. But also on the other side, in the evening, it will become a kind of trigger to start certain hormonal processes in your body. So through light, especially blue light in the morning and the warm light in the evening, this could really help us. And this is really an interest for people who are living outside of their natural chronotype. So when I say chronotype, I think you all know this term like early birds and night owls, and that's something we can help, because a lot of people have a kind of social jet lag. So they have school, they have work, and this is not in line with their normal inner clock. And what blue light can do here is, that's what we found out in some studies, is if you expose yourself to blue light just minutes in the morning, over a period of two weeks, you can really shift your inner clock. So you can shift your inner clock by 50 minutes in before or after your natural or your current inner clock. And this will really help you to be super productive, but also happy. And this is a great example where technology can help, and light technology can help to adapt, to have the perfect clock aligns with your social demands in this sense. A second example I want to give you is, that's on the next page. It's a completely different one. It's sound. So you might think, what does sound mean? But in this case, we want to use sleep to have a different intention. So technology is also about providing features and functions to fulfill a certain intention. And what you see here is it's TMR. So this is targeted memory reactivation. So what does it mean? So it means that we can re-expose memory pieces through certain cues, which will send to your body during night. So what does it mean? So from the process perspective is, if you're in the university, if you're learning a certain content, you would get cues, audio cues, and this will mean that you encode these content in your brain and the hypothalamus with this kind of sound cues. And then during the night, when you're sleeping, there's something else happening. So during the night, in a certain stage, and it's important to detect the right stage. As Verena mentioned, so there are certain stages, and for this targeted memory reactivation, it's typically done in we call it N2 and N3 stage, so that we start to present again the same sound cue to the sleeper, and this will help then during the night to have a kind of filter function, so to transfer content from the hippocampus to the long-term memory pieces in your brain, and this will help you then during the day, which is the remembering piece of it, to remember these pieces preferably than other ones. And this is kind of interesting because this really puts yourself into a kind of loop with your body. So it's a kind of human-brain interface, because on the one hand side, you need to understand what's the current sleep phase, but on the other side, you're triggering certain processes in your brain during the night. So sleep is helping really to improve learning, especially in this case. Another example to use sound, but also to use light in this context, is something we call it's lucid dreaming. So lucid dreaming means in another phase of your night, which is the REM state, you just expose yourself to certain lights. So in these flashlight lights will help you to get control, but also clarity, and also be able to recall certain dream areas. And as you know, so the dream area, as Verena mentioned, has a lot of supportive functions for creativity, but also for problem solving. So with doing this, presenting light and certain phases really helps you to be even more creative. So we say, so creativity never sleeps. So even during the night, you could be super creative. So saying this, I think that's really what drives us in Emma. So our neuroscientists, but also our technology guys, so really try to blur the lines between physical products, which are more on the foam spring side, with a lot of technology elements, which will then help to improve biological processes. And this will really help in the future to really unlock the full potential of sleep. So unfortunately, there's way more to tell. So unfortunately, we can't give you all the details about products we're working on, but I can promise there are a lot of products in development which come to market pretty soon. So look out for these, and maybe one day, sooner than later, you can try our products. So now let's give you some more background about Emma. So why we believe that Emma is the biggest sleep tech company in the world.
Thank you. So to really make an impact, and Emma making an impact as a company here, it is important to understand that we are basically we see that we can do this by doing the research, like Verena was explaining you, and building then the products, like Philipp now showed you. And very exciting stuff that will come soon, as he said. And so please be sure to follow us and to stay closely aligned, because yeah, there's something coming. And to be able to do this, we are building teams. We are building an organization. And I want to tell you a little bit about that organization. And being a new joiner in Emma myself, I can tell you every single point of these is 100% authentic. So when you start at Emma, you learn that the culture we have at Emma, it's very startup-ish in a sense, but it's also let's say very professional, and it's very it really makes us fast and pragmatic, as well as using agility and having agility at the core of our DNA, of our cultural DNA in the company, is basically coming myself from software development. This is something that, everybody is doing agile in software now, but this is the DNA of the company. So we are creating hypotheses, testing them, and running experiments all the time, taking wise and rational decisions. We are a team of really brilliant and smart people. So young minds, I would call it too. That doesn't necessarily mean that everybody needs to be young, but we are young and want to explore and are curious, and this is what this is about. The point here of neurodiversity is about, we believe in diversity of thinking. So diversity comes from a lot of different angles, and its background, it's where you come from, what culture you bring with you, and it helps us to intensively increase the understanding of the problem space. So the problem space can be worked on in from a way broader perspective, and then we find better and more creative solutions to the problems we want to solve. Then this is not only a hypothesis in itself, but we see it is working. The culture that we're building, the teams that are performing, we see it's working. The products that we create are award-winning. We won over 30 awards, of which 12 are test wins. So we really know what we're building, and the success we're having. This is something that you can also see in the business that we're doing. So our business is doing great. We're until last year, we're doubling our revenues every year, and this year is even going to be more. So the thing is, this business is growing and it's global. We're already in 23 markets worldwide. We are all across the globe, from Canada to Australia to Brazil, with the strongest markets being the European ones. But this is due to the fact, and that's you want to keep into consideration, Emma is not that old. This is due to the fact that we can scale our business very lean, in a very lean way. And this also makes us very powerful. This is also basically one of the core fundamentals of our business. And as you heard from Verena and also from Philipp, we are doing the science. You could think of us as a mattress company for sure. Yeah, and we earn our revenue mostly with passive mattresses. However, the point here is we are really doing research and really understanding sleep to the science and to the fundamental truths of it, so we can build the products that you will hear about soon. And then, yeah, it is on the next page. It is a very exciting time for Emma right now, because we are in a very strong transformation. The company is, as you know, and probably also know not only from our web shop and from advertisements that we do, we are that mattress company with that award-winning product, but we have invested substantial thought and time into building the next stage, and this next stage is becoming the sleep tech product. And so we turn from being that direct-to-consumer e-commerce company into a sleep company, a sleep tech company that actively improves the sleep of its customers. And this is really also exciting, because usually when you work in a mattress company, then the average lifespan of a mattress is something like 8 to 10 years. And that's also basically the time when you have, again, interaction with your customers. So you have a lot of customers you won't see for a long time, and due to GDPR, even won't recognize anymore, because after that time you don't know them anymore. But with the new products coming, you have touch points with them every day, because these are going to be digital touch points. And this is a very exciting point in time for us. And this is also, this is why we are building those teams, this organization, and also a good opportunity for a lot of young and smart minds like yours to be able to contribute and join us on this mission, following this vision. Now, in the end of our presentation, we now have some little tips and hints, caveats that you want to follow to improve your own sleep and have something out of that. And Philipp, or Verena, you want to tell us about it?
Sure. Should I do it? Yeah. So to avoid before bed, I already talked before about caffeine, because it blocks your sleep pressure for around 8 hours. Then to avoid light, because the absence of light will lead to melatonin production and thereby helping you to sleep. Avoid alcohol. I mean, even though it might helping you falling asleep, it impacts negatively on your sleep quality. So you impact the dream sleep. Actually, you wake up in the second half of the night and it's difficult to go back to sleep. Actually, exercising is a great thing for sleep. Just don't do it too close to bedtime because of the body core temperature, and you don't want that rise in body core temperature just before going to sleep. And avoid eating late and heavy. I mean, this has a really negative impact on sleep quality and also falling asleep time. Instead, you should have a chilly bedroom around 19 degrees. A good idea is actually to cuddle warm or take a warm shower, because a warm skin actually helps to delay the blood vessels, and thereby you can get rid of excess body core temperature. Another advice is know your inner clock. I mean, most people have a quite good idea if they are early types or late types, so larks or owls. And living as close as possible to it, as regular as possible, actually will help you sleep a lot. Then calm down before going to bed. This could be meditation, but it could be also reading a book. But don't do something that is like engaging. For example, chatting on your mobile phone, being engaged in social interactions. This is something that wakes you up and doesn't help you calming down. And prioritize sleep. Try really to be so long in bed that you have the chance to sleep the average 8 hours that people need. I mean, not everybody needs 8 hours, but some people need more and less. But prioritize sleep. That, I mean, you can sleep the amount you need. And that's basically it.
Okay, thank you very much. for your presentation. I really enjoyed it. I guess the participants too. And thank you for the very helpful insights into your company and regarding sleep. I think we can take a lot from it. So there are a few questions. The first question I wanted to ask you is, what is the biggest challenge that Emma is actually facing, especially maybe regarding technology, but also others? Is there something that you can explain?
Biggest challenge. So as a company, maybe on the company level, like building or having an existing field of business that you're very successful in, and exploring new like business opportunities like sleep tech is for sure always a kind of a challenge, because you need different structures within your company to cater for the one or for the other. So I believe so. It is of course a challenge that we are very aware of. And the good thing also is that Emma has this continuous change, like this changing continuously, and this adapting to new situations also built into its core DNA. So this continuous change is something that we value very much, and everybody is not afraid of this. Instead, embraces it. So I guess as a company, we're quite aware of that and can handle it quite well.
Thank you very much. That was really good. And I have another question. We had a very interesting panel at noon about data versus privacy. And what is your opinion? Because I think you have really helpful data, but also very careful data with especially health or sleep data. If you're working with that, is it a big challenge to work with that, especially regarding the DSGVO or data regulation? What would you say?
I would say so. Or Philipp, would you want to take this one, or should I? We can.
Yes, I think that there are two sides. So one is the side of the e-commerce side. So when customers buying our products, and the second one is really customers using the products. And that's for sure. This will become also maybe not a challenge, but that's something we need to tackle proactively with our customers, because we all know that sleep is super. And we are really in favor that these are standalone systems about the sleeping experience of these customers, and we are aware that this is something customers are really not willing to share with big companies like the big tech companies. But we see this really as an advantage from our side, because we tackle the whole sleeping journey of customers, and we can really make sure that we have this for the customer under control, because in the end it's his data, it's his night of sleep, and he should be in charge of what is used and how we use this data intentionally to improve his night of sleep. So yes, that's something we really have in mind. We're really looking very carefully in it, really step by step. So we'd rather say there's no connectivity or no data collection, because in the end it's all about how to not disturb the customer's night and how to not disturb the sleeping experience. So that's key for us.
Yeah, and maybe one addition to that, we consider this data, the actual sleep data, sensitive data, like Philipp said, of the customer, and we will. The point here is that with such data that you also can consider patient data, so sensitive as medical patient data, you first make sure that you can process them in a secure and data privacy compliant way before you actually start working with even one data set.
Okay, thank you very much for the answer. It was really good. And maybe one last question. Is there technology that has a really big impact, or maybe will have a really big impact on you? Because we have a lot of students here, but also people who work, like maybe machine learning, or there are so many buzzwords that can have a impact on your business, or a skill that people should acquire for the job. Is there something that you would say that you use or that is really helpful in job?
I think it depends a bit on what's the area of the company. So if you talk about product development, so as I said, so all the products we are going to develop, so they always have a combination of hardware and software. And when I say hardware, it's always a mechanical component, but also it's an electronic component. So everything which is related to programming in electronic areas, like embedded software. So that's something which is super interesting. But also when it comes to if you have access to your human body, or you have sensors tracking sleep, then you're completely in the data space, and all the skills which you need to analyze large data sets which are streaming from the good night of sleep are super relevant for us.
Thank you very much. That are all the questions that we had. I really want to thank you again for this great panel or session. I really enjoyed it, and I guess all the participants too. We got so much insights into sleep and into your company. I guess a lot of people will help that with their sleep, maybe to optimize it. And yes, again, thank you very much. That's it for this panel. So the participants can change to other channels if they want. And thanks again to our speaker, and enjoy your day.
Thank you, Pascal.
Goodbye. Nice weekend.